Take a deep breath, take the higher road. That's what they always say, as if they know the way. They won't take it from me. But don't ever doubt yourself, 'cause life ain't just a dream. You made your own, so kick and scream. The people will act with a never-ending force. You never had the chance, so what you waiting for? The day has come, my friend, 'cause this is war. It's time and this is war.
It's no secret that our systems are broken. From healthcare to education, from transportation to politics, what we're witnessing isn't just dysfunction. It's deliberate, it's systemic, and it's unsustainable. The people who keep this country running, our nurses, our transit workers, our teachers, our first responders, have been exploited, silenced, and betrayed. While corrupt leaders shake hands behind closed doors, the working class is left holding the line, carrying the weight, and fighting for scraps. We don't need performative change. We need real reform. And real reform does not come from the top down. It comes from the ground up. From bold, courageous leaders who refuse to stay silent. From everyday people who become extraordinary by standing up when it's uncomfortable to do so. My guest today is one of those people. He has been silenced, surveilled, deplatformed, and discredited by the very systems that fear him the most. But he's still here, still standing, still speaking truth. Because he knows that when you dare to break free from the narrative, you become dangerous to the system, but a lifeline to the people. In this episode, we will go deep into his story, his fight, and his mission to build something better. This is one you don't want to miss. You're listening to Nurses Out Loud on America Out Loud Talk Radio. I'm your host, Nurse Kimberly Overton. Before we get started today, I do want to encourage our listeners, if you have questions or comments, or perhaps you want to share your own experiences with what you're seeing on the front lines of healthcare, you can now submit those to us directly by visiting our website at nursesoutloud.com. We would love to hear from you. We encourage all of you to engage in the battle and find your voice in this fight. But until you are able to do that, we will continue to be that voice for you. Joining me today is Tramell Thompson. He is a former New York City transit worker, the founder of the grassroots organization Progressive Action, vice president of the TWU Local 100, and a relentless advocate for labor justice, medical freedom, and systemic accountability. He's a whistleblower, a truth teller, and a leader who's been unafraid to call out corruption within his own union and beyond. Tramell has taken on powerful institutions, exposed betrayal from those who are supposed to protect workers, and amplified the voices of those too often ignored. Recently, he brought that same fire to the national stage as part of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s presidential campaign, working to transform politics from a place of people-pleasing into a platform for people-powered truth. From the subway tunnels of New York City to the national campaign trail, Tramell has used his voice to challenge censorship, expose government overreach, and empower everyday Americans to break free from the systems that oppress them. He was one of the earliest and boldest voices to push back against medical mandates during the COVID era, risking everything to protect the bodily autonomy and dignity of essential workers who were treated like property, not people. He is one of the leading voices of resistance, fighting for freedom from the front lines. Tramell, welcome back.
Hey, Kimberly, thanks for having me. Again, it's our second time, and the introductions just get better and better.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I'm telling you, it took me a little bit longer. I was saying, before we started, because you're just so incredible that I just had to keep going and going. Because you've done so much, and your voice is so incredibly powerful. But yes, you've been on the show before, but I'll tell you, just recently, I was just sitting at home one night, and I was relaxing with my man, and he was sitting there watching like TikTok videos or something on his phone. And all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, is that Tramell? I heard your voice. And so I'll give a real quick shout out to my boyfriend, because I can do that.
Yeah, shout out to him. Shout out to him for paying attention to TikTok.
Exactly. So yeah, shout out to JP. So he was an RCI for many years. He's now retired from the New York City Transit Authority. He was a former union rep, and he is apparently a very big fan of your work. So that was cool. I got to brag about how I knew you, and that was really fun. I think maybe I became a little bit cooler by association, maybe. I don't know.
I didn't even know he was a former transit worker.
Yeah, yeah, he was a road car inspector. Worked for New York City Transit for many years. I think he retired maybe 2013 or something like that. But yeah, he was there for many, many years. So he is definitely a fan. I hear your videos playing all the time. I'm like, that's Tramell, isn't it?
That's a good thing because I post to TikTok, but I don't really pay attention to it. But
Mhm.
when I'm walking in the streets, a lot of people say that they see me and my work on TikTok. So I got to start nurturing that platform the same way I'm doing Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same way with TikTok. Like I'm on there, but I don't really pay much attention. I post videos. I don't know where they go. So we'll
Yeah.
see. But for those of you who may not know your backstory or who didn't, hear our first episode together, can you walk us through just how your activism began within the New York City transit system and really what led you to found Progressive Action?
All right. So I started working for New York City Transit in September of 2013. And within my first couple of months, I was hired as a conductor. And within my first couple of months on the job, I was like, this cannot be my life. Like, I can't be opening and closing doors for the rest of my life because I felt like it wasn't challenging. But being in the cab by myself, it gave me the opportunity to self-reflect. I did a lot of self-reflection in the cab, and I was like, what can I do to make my life more better or make myself more appealing in the workforce. So I decided to do something that I never wanted to do before, and that was go to college. So I signed up to go to the College of New Rochelle while being an active transit worker. So I went to school 4 years straight while working for transit, studying psychology. But during that time, I would say like within my sophomore year, I was thinking like, what can I do to change the dynamics of transit, change the dynamics of union representation, and to get the information out there faster. So I created a radio program called Progressive Action. That was in February 2016, and I was just addressing the issues that was going on the job that I seen that no one else was addressing. And that ended up being the catalyst to where I'm at today because it gave me something to fight for every single day being a transit worker. There's safety issues, there's discipline issues, there's morale issues, there's legal issues. So, if you ambitious and you come work for New York City Transit, you could basically it's a content farm. That's what I call it. Like you could always find something to talk about being a transit worker. So I started there. I started getting a lot of momentum back in 2016. I became transit popular within the system because of my advocacy. And then, things started spiraling north from there. And that's what basically happened. That's why I started Progressive Action because I seen what the members were lacking, and I was always told, "Be the change that I want to see." So I did exactly that.
And it really takes courage to go against the grain. And like you said, so many people in the workers, the everyday workers, a lot of them just kind of go along to get along and don't really have the courage to go against the grain, especially in a system that's designed really to protect itself. So, how did your coworkers in the transit authority? How did they respond when you started speaking out?
I want to address something that you said real quick about courage. It does take courage to do this work, but we live in a society now where people may have courage, but they only have the courage when it affects them directly.
Yes,
They
that's
don't under, they don't understand that it could be me today, you tomorrow. So we're just in a society where people just don't care until it directly impacts them, and then when it directly impacts them, they want everyone to care, and it's a just ongoing cycle of that. But to answer your question, Uh, my approach, I got a lot of backlash when I first started. You know, a lot of people was telling me that it wasn't going to work. I'm wasting my time. The internet is a waste, and I'm like, what are these people talking about? Like, I just didn't get what they were saying, but I had a vision, and I believe that when we're doing things out out of the box or outside of the norm, you're going to get backlash because people just don't got the vision that you have. One thing that I never let happen was the negativity deter what I wanted to do and what I needed to do. So I always stayed the path and fought back every chance that I got. And I was living on the internet from like 2016 to like 2018, 2 years straight, just fighting back, fighting back, fighting back until I end up being the lead and force of the voice of the people.
Yeah. And you are a union rep, or you were a union rep at some point, and you saw the union really becoming part of the problem. Is that a fair statement?
No, I didn't become an official union rep until this year, January
Okay.
1st. I was a shop steward, but at the time, the union didn't really recognize shop stewards or give us any duties or any power.
Mhm.
So I was just speaking as a regular member, and I had a platform at that time because I built Progressive Action like 3 years since then, and I just was out there advocating every single day, having rallies, having meet and greets, going to different terminals, different departments, and just continue to build.
Yeah, I think that, we've seen a lot. I know that during, when we were fighting against the mandates, we saw a lot of kind of pushback from the union leaders. Like they weren't really representing the wants and needs of their members. They were endorsing political candidates that were not truly representative of what the people wanted. I saw a lot of that when I was working with NCFW, the National Coalition of Frontline Workers, and we were on the streets and we were canvassing and talking to union members, and it became very, very apparent and clear that the political candidates that were being endorsed by unions were not the ones that the people actually wanted. Did you see a fair amount of that as well?
So in our situation, it was a little different because we were one of the only agencies in New York, probably, that didn't have a mandate. So um, our endorsements didn't come from uh, who did what during the pandemic. It was always because of different issues. So the issues that we faced during the pandemic wasn't what everyone else faced. Um, but my union, I felt like at the time they did a good job not allowing the mandates to happen and giving workers a choice as to if they want to get vaccinated or not, or whatever they believed in. So our fight during that time wasn't the same like everyone else's.
Mhm. Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about the COVID mandates that were coming, because you were right in the belly of the beast out there in New York City, where, I mean, the mandates were everywhere. You were one of the very few in the labor movement who called this out from pretty much from the very beginning. And I will say this because and this is something I learned about you on during our last episode that we recorded, is that you actually got vaccinated. And that kind of goes directly into what you were saying here just a few moments ago, that people have courage when it affects them directly. But, these mandates really didn't affect you directly because you had been vaccinated, you had your card. But I remember you told me that you took that card and you ripped it up. Is that right? You ripped it up because you saw what was happening to these workers, these nurses, teachers, transit workers, first responders getting thrown under the bus, many of them losing their jobs over what should have been a personal medical choice.
That was exactly it. And one thing I did not agree with during the mandates were the segregation. If you vaccinated, you could go here. If you're not vaccinated, you can't go there. And a lot of my friends that I love were affected by the segregation of it and the mandates in general. So I felt like, I got vaccinated because of choice. It wasn't no pressure. It was my choice to get vaccinated. And I felt like it should have been everyone's choice to get vaccinated. And I decided we had a rally. I think it was in January of 21. I believe January 21. We had a rally in Albany, New York, and I decided to rip up my only copy of my vaccination card because I was I was on the belief that, if my friends can't go eat at the same restaurants with me because of their status, then I'm not going either. And I think that's what sparked me within that movement. And from there, I just started traveling the country talking about my position on the mandates because at the time we were being labeled as anti-vaxxers.
Right.
And I was quiet during that time because I was just letting them run away with that narrative because I was like, how can I be an anti-vaxxer and be vaccinated at the same
Yeah.
time, which didn't make no sense. And like even RFK Jr., who I had the opportunity to spend thousands of hours with him, speaking one on one. He was even getting labeled as an anti-vaxxer, and they didn't know that him and his children were vaccinated.
Mhm.
So it was just like it perplexed me, like the labels that we were given during that time, because only thing we wanted was to make our own decisions, not the government make the decisions for us, and then we be affected whether we will be able to feed our families or not. I never thought that that was right.
Yeah, it was really a frightening time. And to watch the way that these policies and these mandates came down and really, like you said, segregated people and really pitted like neighbors against neighbors, friends against friends. I mean, family members were not even, speaking to one another because one was vaccinated, one wasn't. And it was just so frightening to see how easily that type of division can occur. But
Yeah, you're right, and you know, uh, uh, to see families broken apart, to see friendships end over a choice. I don't think people don't see how damaging these mandates were for us as a society.
no, it was horrible. I mean, we just saw so much fracture in society, whether that be your work family, your blood family, your church family. There was just so much division. And, I feel like we're still trying to bridge that gap. Even nearly 5 years later, like there's still work to do in bridging that gap.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the damage or some of the damage is irreversible.
Yeah.
I don't think that they talking about how the children were impacted during this time, basically being isolated from their friends and
Yeah.
being segregated themselves. We're going to see the damage of the mandates for years to come because
I
they go show
agree.
up in forms that we gonna be like, why is these set of people acting like this? Why is this happening?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to go back to all the decisions that was made in 2020 and how it impacted society 10, 20 years down the line from now.
Exactly. I mean, the mental health alone, people were financially ruined by these mandates, that just the broken trust in, systems that we have long trusted, our medical system, all of those systems that we have kind of implicitly trusted for so long. And, a lot of us had our eyes peeled wide open because of COVID. I know I'm one example of that. I was very pro vaccine my entire life and nursing career until the COVID vaccine came about, and I had a little bit of hesitation because I was seeing the vaccine injuries very early on in the rollout. And I thought to myself, doing a little bit of risk benefit, analysis, I'm thinking, I think I'll be just fine letting my immune system take over. And, it really opened my eyes and I started digging deeper. And what I found truly, truly horrified me. But we need to have justice for what has occurred. But I think we're still a long way from that. I think we're making progress, but I think we're a long way from even seeing the full ramifications of everything that occurred during that pandemic.
I mean, let's be clear, and if we want to start with justice, the right thing to do to move towards that is to reinstate and compensate
Yeah.
everyone who lost their job because they decided to make the decision on their own whether to get vaccinated or not. The people who was impacted by that, they need their jobs back because a lot of people don't understand during that time. Um, there's a website called clinicaltrials.gov. It's a government website. and it teaches you about all the drugs that's like in the trial phase or whatever the phase may be that they testing out, letting you know how it's working, the efficacy and all that stuff. When it came to the COVID-19 vaccine, it was first labeled as um you won't get the virus or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Then they moved it to say that you won't get it sick. Then they moved it again and say you will get sick, but you won't die. And then the last one is like, well, you won't die. So the government themselves was unclear as to how effective the vaccine was going to be to
Yeah.
COVID-19, and the fact that they was moving the goalpost the entire time. um, I felt like they was being dishonest to the American people as to what we really were facing.
It really was. And that's what I could never understand. And I had been shouting from the rooftops from the very beginning of the rollout because I knew that this shot did not prevent transmission. And I'm like, how can you mandate something it doesn't prevent transmission? And, at the very best it was ever going to do was give you a mild case. But even that proved to be completely incorrect. So it was just beyond me how they could even consider mandating them. And you made a good point that so many of these workers that there are still workers, New York City workers, firefighters, police officers, first responders that are still out of work. Some of them, I think a handful of them, were able to return to work, but they still haven't gotten any back pay. One of a good friend of mine, I think FDNY firefighter Matt Connor. He's with Bravest for Choice. He was on an unpaid administrative leave for over 10 months. They did finally accept his medical exemption and he is back to work, thank God, but they've never given him back pay. To this day, he's still fighting for that.
Yeah, and the government is wrong for that. Shout out to Matt Connor, that's my brother.
Love
Um,
Matt. Yeah, I always love to give a shout out to Matt. He's an amazing, amazing warrior in this fight.
yeah, and he was one of the first people on the front line with us during this fight, and a lot of people had some wonderful careers.
Hmm.
I think Matt was a lieutenant in the fire department at the time or something like that.
Yeah, he was.
And he basically gave up his career without knowing what was going on because he wanted to exercise his God-given right. And I don't blame him. And the government, they need to figure this out because it's never too late to correct the injury, right? It's never too late to make someone whole, but the time is now to do it. Especially in New York City, when you look at the mayoral races and looking at who may be possibly coming into office, and one guy saying that he's not going to reinstate and compensate. So the time is now for them to make a move. Um, but yeah, I just wish that the powers that be can finally do the right thing for once and just make these people whole.
Yeah. And let's talk about that a little bit, if you wouldn't mind. I have not been keeping up with the New York City politics. And so let's talk about the mayoral race. So it's Adams is still mayor, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. He needs to go. I know that much. So who's looking or who's running against him?
You have Zoran Mamdani. You have Andrew Cuomo. You
Yeah.
have Curtis Sliwa. Those are the three or the four, including the mayor. Those are the four front runners
Okay. The only
right
one
now.
I know out of all of those is Andrew Cuomo, who I'm not a huge fan of. So, Um, yeah. So what are your thoughts? Anybody that you feel would be a good fit and who would be really representative of the people and what would be about medical freedom, autonomy, informed consent? Any of those candidates?
um, well, we Zoran already said that he's not doing that, so we don't have to discuss him.
Hmm.
Cuomo was the governor of New York during the pandemic. He's partly responsible for these mandates.
Yeah, that's what
So,
I said.
it is what it is with him. Eric Adams, I spoke with Eric Adams people last week, and they basically said that it wasn't Eric Adams who instituted the mandates, it was de Blasio, but the workers got fired under Eric Adams.
Yep.
So, I don't know what he's willing to do to correct that harm. And then you have Curtis Sliwa, who said that he would reinstate and compensate. But for me, that's not my personal fight. That's not something that I'm willing to hang my hat on 100%.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, we can't
but
be one issue voters, right? I mean,
I mean, we are basically one issue voters. But though that is one of my issues, but
yeah,
it's not my leading issue.
yeah,
But I don't know, man. I like Sliwa. I like some things that Mondami is saying. Even though I think that some of his stuff is dangerous, too dangerous. But yeah, I'm still observing the playing field right now. As far as what's going to happen.
yeah. Well, it'll definitely be interesting to see how it all plays out, and I'll definitely be keeping my eyes on that race. So I've been kind of backed away from the New York City scene for a while. I was kind of digging in deep out there for a little while back when we were in the thick of the fight, but maybe it's time to go up there for a visit as the campaigns heat up.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have some rallies coming up, some reinstate and compensate rallies. So it'll probably be
Oh
great for you
yeah.
to pop up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Keep me posted on those and I will definitely make a trip up there for that. I'm always about supporting the amazing people in New York City. And like I said, yourself and Matt Connors, Sophie Medina, Michael Caine, all of these amazing people who have just been absolute warriors in the fight for medical freedom. And they're still going at it 5 years later. Like these people cannot be stopped.
Yeah, I don't think Michael Caine took a day off yet
No,
since
probably
the
not.
fight. Michael Caine been fighting every single day. I salute him for that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some amazing people out there. So yeah, we any chance that we have to get behind them and support them, we're taking it. So
Yeah,
I will be planning a trip up to New York City for sure.
sounds great.
Now, you've been targeted by social media platforms, I'm sure, as we all have. Tell me about have you been followed and surveilled? I've heard stories about this.
I've been I've been followed and surveilled by the MTA. My lawyer gave me some documents a couple of years ago during COVID at that too,
Mhm.
of them following my car and pictures of me at different COVID rallies, and it was insane. But yeah, I was shadow banned off of social media. For almost a year, I wasn't able to monetize my YouTube, and they wouldn't give me no clear answer. But what I did was I went through almost every single video where I was talking about COVID, and I deleted every single video where I was talking about COVID. And during my next review, Instagram approved my monetization again.
Hmm.
Um, on Instagram, I was also shadow banned. Um, I think I hid some videos and deleted some videos from there, and then my followers just shot through the roof. Like this year alone, I think I got like 30,000 followers so far.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Like I've been in and out of Facebook jail. I think I'm the Facebook felon. Like I'm doing life on the installment plan or something. Like I have 8 different accounts. I mean, I was really kind of bobbing and weaving on Facebook, Instagram, kind of the same thing. Twitter, I get a little bit of relief on there, but I don't really. It's one of those platforms that I'm not really active on. Probably should get more active on that one. And as we're sitting here talking about social media, do you want to throw out your social media handles so everybody can be following you?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram, Progressive Action. Twitter is Progressive Act. That's Progressive ACT. TikTok is Progressive Action. Uh, YouTube is Progressive Action, and Facebook is Progressive Action TV.
Awesome. And I'll make sure that we include all of those handles and all of the websites and links and everything you could possibly need to connect with Tramell and the show notes that will accompany this episode when it goes to podcast. We're up against a break, but we will be back and we will dig further into the incredible story of Tramell Thompson. America Out Loud Talk Radio plays on the iHeartRadio network. You can also listen on our media player from any web browser anywhere in the world. We have the best in class apps available on Apple, Android, or Alexa 24/7 Great Talk Radio. All of our shows go to podcast the following day. You can hear them on apps such as Spotify, Stitcher, Pandora, iHeart Podcast, and many more. Be sure to subscribe and rate the show on Apple Podcasts for me. Don't forget to check out our online store at americaoutloud.shop, where you can find all of the products that we represent on our network at a discounted rate, including an incredible line of products from Chemical Free Body. Unlike the majority of supplements you'll find on the market today, with Chemical Free Body, you won't have to worry about harmful ingredients, binders, fillers, or flow agents. Their ultra-safe breakthrough nanosilver technology destroys pathogens, balances the microbiome, and boosts immunity. All of these products are proudly made in the USA and are backed by an unheard of double your money back guarantee. I've made a twice daily Green 85 drink part of my routine, which has led to a decrease in belly bloat and an increase in my energy throughout the day. Use promo code OUTLOUD to save 20% off the Healthy Gut Bundle. I'll catch you on the other side of this break. Stay with us.
Virus protection and immune boosting just got easier. Enter the Daily V-Stack. Using cellular absorption technology, we put vitamins A, C, D, zinc, and quercetin together with a multimineral complex for complete protection. The Daily V-Stack is basically an oral IV of 6 products, all in one, at an affordable price. Go to chemicalfreebody.com/outloud, get the Daily V-Stack, protect yourself, boost your immune system, and save 20% on your first order.
Have you been looking for a healthy snack for on the go, but all the energy and protein bars are just too sweet and full of sugar, preservatives, and mystery ingredients? Well, not all energy bars are soft and sugary. Bear Bars are a crunchy, savory bar made from just 6 simple, natural ingredients. Made with veggies, nuts, and seeds, Bear Bars are plant-based, organic, gluten-free, contain 6 grams of protein, and are low-temp dried for a unique crunch. To learn more, just visit bearbar.com/outloud and get the exclusive discount just for America Out Loud listeners. That's BEARBAR.com/outloud.
Looking for a fluoride-free, peptide-based toothpaste? Try Smile from the Wellness Company. This doctor-formulated formula combines powerful peptides, remineralizers, and probiotics to rebuild gum tissue, strengthen teeth, and fight harmful bacteria, all with a refreshing mint flavor. Visit twc.health/outloud and use code OUTLOUD for 20% off your first order.
Well, it's high time Americans refuse to be pawns in the human chess game. Under the name of diversity, politicians divide the people in their quest for power. Well, diversity of opinion and expression is as American as apple pie. Now is our time, my fellow Americans. AmericaOutloud.news. Liberty and justice for all.
Welcome back to Nurses Out Loud on America Out Loud Talk Radio. I'm your host, Nurse Kimberly Overton. Wherever you're listening from today and whatever you're doing, I thank you for giving me the gift of your time. Be sure to make AmericaOutloud.news your daily stop for all the latest news and happenings. We all must do our part and share the stories, the articles, the podcasts, and videos so we can help secure America's future. If you're just joining us, I've been talking with the founder of Progressive Action, Tramell Thompson. Let's jump right back in. Tramell, thanks again for being here.
No problem. No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, your story is incredible. You are such a warrior in this fight. We're going on, your fight really long predated COVID even. This is just kind of where we got to see, your story, but you've been out here fighting for much longer than that.
Yeah. Since 2013, basically. I've been fighting systems since the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. And then I think it was practice for me. Once I got the transit, then it became official.
Yeah. And like I said, when we get out there and we speak truth to power, we encourage and inspire others to do the same, or that's the goal. At least that's my goal. When I started speaking out, I was just hopeful that I could encourage one more nurse that knew something was wrong to stand up and speak out. That was always my goal. Do you feel the same, that that's how we can empower others to speak truth, even when it costs them something?
Yes. I believe that there should be no weak links. I believe that everyone should be their own first line of defense versus going to go get someone else. There should be things that we should be capable of handling ourselves. So when I do my speeches, when I do my videos, when I'm invited to events, I try to teach people everything that I know, because if I'm able to create a replica of me or someone better, I know that we will be in a better place when it's time to defend ourselves. In this type of business, when you're a leader, you're an advocate, you don't benefit being the smartest person in the room or the strongest voice in the room. You benefit when you have a collective of strong voices around you echoing the same message. And like even with people that's on my team, sometimes when I do videos, they be like, "Oh, I don't need to, they don't need to do videos or something now," because they felt like I covered it. But I think that each one of us got a different way of delivering our messages, and somebody may love me, but don't like one of my partners, and somebody may love one of my partners and don't like me. But if we preach in the same thing, we will reach different people, and I think that's the importance of what we do, the work that you do. So when you say you want to create another strong nurse, you want to basically replicate all the efforts that you know is right to protect whatever you guys are fighting for in another section. So you won't always have to be that go-to person. If when you look at the all-star games on a basketball team, and you see all this talent, it's a great thing versus playing on a regular team, because then everybody is focused on his one goal, which is winning. Everybody is great at what they doing in their section in the position that they play. So I look at people positions being like, if you're a nurse in Texas, and if you could touch a nurse in North Carolina, then you replicate it yourself, and then they're gonna be the best at what they do out there, and then hopefully they could bring somebody in and they could replicate themselves off of, to somebody else. And I think that's very important in all of these movements. Half of the time what happened is that um, they will cut the head off of the leader and the movement will die.
Yeah.
And that's because that I feel like the leaders didn't spend a lot of time nurturing people to get involved and echoing those same sentiments. I would rather for it to be 100 Tramell Thompsons than one.
I absolutely agree with you. And I think there's a lot of a big issue that I found is that, there's a lot of ego sometimes when you're talking about leaders, and real leaders are building up those around them and those that they are leading. That's the real success of a leader, is that how you can build and encourage others, not just what you can do yourself. I know the tagline for America Out Loud, right on our website, it says, many voices, one freedom, united in the First Amendment. So it is about the collective. I would rather point to, 50 other nurses that are saying the same thing as I am, instead of, being out here the lone voice. I don't want the spotlight on me. I want it on us as a collective coming together and saying, like, look at what we can build and look what we can fight against when we stand together in solidarity and collaboration. Because I feel like a lot of times, when we have supposed or so-called leaders, they don't always want to collaborate and work together. It's like they just want to do everything themselves and get all of the glory. It's never been about that for me. And I know for you as well, it's really about building. Because anytime that we have the opportunity to inspire and encourage others, we should be doing just that.
Well, we got to stay away from those type of leaders
Yeah.
that want to keep everything for themselves, because everyone that we fighting against, these social media companies, big pharma, they know the power of a collective voice. This is why they shadow ban certain accounts, because social media has made it so easy for you to find your tribe, so to speak. Right? We got billions of people in this world. You think that there's not 1 million people that agree with Kimberly Overton out there?
Mm-hmm.
So these social media companies, they know that. Big Pharma, they know that. So they spend a lot of time and resources shadow banning you to make sure that you don't replicate yourself.
Yeah.
Right? To make sure that you don't find your tribe. And I think that we are finding ways around the social media platforms to increase our message or have our message vibrate out there in the world. And we just got to keep being resilient. Like when I was shadow banned, I didn't stop making videos.
Yeah.
I didn't stop going out there advocating every single day, because they may be able to shadow ban you on the internet, but they can't shadow ban you in life. And you just got to go out there and continue to do the work unapologetically.
Yeah. And that's one thing that, I've preached and I've lived. It's the idea of building outside the system. Because we get real and we talk about the current landscape of big tech, government overreach, all of, this big government, big tech, it's everywhere. There's systems, whether that be in the media or the different types of like payment processors, for example, that we use for our websites or whatever. They're not always like-minded and aligned with our values, but unfortunately there are no other alternatives because everything is just, there's such a monopoly on everything, right? So my biggest thing that I've that I preach all the time is building outside the system. That's what I'm doing with Remnant Healthcare. That's probably, what you're doing with Progressive Action. But how do you think that we can go about continuing that idea of building outside?
We just got to continue to go out there and do the work and don't take 1 second for granted. Um, and don't matter how many people are listening to you. Like some people get discouraged because they start looking at numbers, they start looking at analytics. If you have one person that's listening to you, you've done your job. You just got to continue to work to get that one person to get another person, and just continue to go out there and fight for what you believe in, because there's people out there every single day not letting a second go by, fighting for everything, that fighting against us, so to speak, right? That's trying to stop us from getting what we want. And there's just not enough of us fighting to get what we want. And we just gotta, like I said, don't take one day for granted. Don't take 1 second for granted. Don't put nothing off for tomorrow. If you have the opportunity to do it today, let's do it today. Don't save it for tomorrow, because next thing you know, you'll be saving up, and then there's too much things to do, and now you don't know where to start. So that's one thing. That's one adjustment that I made personally in my life, where I don't wait till tomorrow. If I come up with an idea, I'm trying to execute it as soon as possible and launch it as soon as possible, because people get caught up, oh, it's not the right time. We should wait to this and wait to that. And to me, it's all procrastination. You never know when it's the right time. How many times I said, oh, right, this is the right time to do something. And then I launch it and then nothing really happens. But when I go off the cuff and say, you know what, I'm just going to do this now, it always go far. So the right time is if you got air in your lungs, you able to do the work, that's the right time. Let's go out there and just get it done.
Yeah. And you had mentioned earlier, like if you're focused on numbers like analytics like I'm not very financially motivated. I probably make a horrible business person, but that's okay. But I go out there every day and I continue to grow Remnant Healthcare. Regardless of, we're not making money hand over fist over here, but we're out here, we're getting people well, we're getting, nurses we're getting them trained in functional medicine. We're getting them out there and encouraging their own entrepreneurship. And we are providing true patient-centered care for people, and we're advocating for people. So as long as we can stay afloat, I don't care. I'll keep, like you said, as long as I have air in my lungs, I will keep doing this work. I don't care if it makes me a single dollar. I'm going to keep doing it because that's what I consider my life's work and my life's mission. But I think if you get too hung up on, the numbers and the money and all of that, then yeah, it becomes an issue. But we've got to get to a point, Tramell, where we stop begging these corrupt systems to fix themselves. They're not going to do it. We have to start building our own tables. That's what's going to make a difference in this world.
I agree with you 100%. You can't fight against these companies and then ask for them to let you perform how you want to perform on their platforms. I think we spend too much time wanting to be a part of their platforms and not spending enough time to try to figure out how can we build our own, so we won't be shadow banned, so we won't be marginalized and things of that nature. So yes, I think it's very important for people to go out there and focus more on building their own and using the enemy's platform at the same time, but not 100% relying on it.
Exactly. Like I tell the nurses all the time, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. I tell them
That's
that all the time. We have to take action and stop asking for permission and begging for change. It's never coming, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Especially in your field, like
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
going to take
definitely.
a real revolution
Yeah.
to change what's going on over there. That's why I applaud the work that you do, because
Thank
you
you.
know we have millions of nurses in this country, and it's like I only hear really one verse, one voice, and that's you or people that you're affiliated with.
Yeah. And I want to talk about just kind of bringing people together. We have to find unity in the struggle that we have been in. And it's not just this fight, but there's so much division in this country, whether it be left versus right, black versus white, vaxxed versus unvaxxed. But how do we come together, Tramell? Just stop falling into their trap of division, divide, and conquer. We've got to find a way to come together, whether we agree or disagree. We should be able to come together, sit at the table, have a civil conversation, because civil discourse is how we progress as a society. We don't always have to agree on everything, but we should always be respecting one another and respecting, each other's views. What advice do you have to people on how we can come together and find just common ground?
Well, me personally, I wouldn't spend too much time trying to convince people that we all need to be united. I think that we need to spend more time of finding people who do have the same values and sight as you, because I can't remember a time in this country where everyone was on the same accord. I
Yeah.
mean, even when you look at some of our communities, we got churches like a block and a half away from each other, right? And why these churches can't get together and create one mega church,
Yeah.
right? Why they can't unify and do that. So I don't spend too much time thinking about why we cannot unify. I spend more time going out there preaching my message and getting more people a part of my message, and willing to have open dialogue with anyone who don't agree with my message, so we could agree to disagree. Because when you look at uh, they label MAGA, MAGA's Trump, right?
Yeah.
Um, that's like they consider that a cult. You look at the Democratic Party, they against everything MAGA. That's a cult. And then we get caught up in this thing that I call political tribalism,
Yes.
where you may not agree with whatever you may be a Democrat, and you may not agree deep down inside with some of the things that they doing, but you're going to defend it because you're a Democrat. I think that that's more dangerous. And they do that based off of unity. They unify with this party or this cult or whatever, but they don't think for themselves. So sometimes unity can be a awesome thing, but it could also be dangerous at the same time. And that's what we're witnessing today. We're witnessing um, people that's unified but dangerous at the same time. We seen it. Like I said, we connected because of COVID, because of the pandemic and fighting. We was fighting against a cult of people that was telling us get vaccinated or lose your job.
Yeah.
They was unified in that.
And that's what really surprised me, Tramell, is that like we can agree to disagree on many things, left, right, whatever. But I figured if there was one thing that we could all unite together against, it would be freedom. Like we all want to be free, or don't we? I guess some people really don't want to be free, or they just feel like society has become too complex. I don't know, and they don't want that sovereignty, or some crave it. I don't know. I think some people may be afraid of sovereignty to a certain degree.
Well,
Like they
this
want that cradle to the grave nanny state, I guess.
well, this is the thing. We going back to unity again. When people talk about unity, it could be dangerous. Why? Because what? It infringes on our freedoms,
Yeah.
right? Depending on what people are uniting for. People could unite for great things, but then that's subjective. What's considered great? Oh, you know what? This side considers everybody being forced to be vaccinated great. This side believes that everybody shouldn't be forced to get vaccinated, right? Now you have two uniting forces that believe in two totally different things, where nobody is basically thinking for themselves anymore. This is the reason why I'm not a registered Republican or a registered Democrat. I'm
Yeah.
an independent by nature, because I can agree with good things that both sides do,
Yeah.
and I can agree with both bad things that both sides do, right? But we have lost the ability to think independently, right? And with politics, the politicians know that. They know that. That's why they fight tooth and nail to hold on to their positions, right? There's like in New York, I believe in New York, there should be a law called a sore loser law, right? Where if you lose in the primary, you can't switch to independent and run in the general election,
Oh, 100%. I agree.
right? Because now, then let's think about this. Zoran Mondami, elected right now, state assemblyman. Um, Eric Adams, the sitting mayor right now, right? Um, Mondami is promoting. He's running a campaign while simultaneously being a state senator, right? Or
No.
whatever he, assemblyman, whatever he is, right? How can he being working for the government is a full-time job? So
Yeah,
when do you have
exactly.
time to serve the people and do the job that you was elected for? So I also believe that when it comes to these politicians and to keep them honest and true, is that if you decide to run for office, you must resign from your position.
Absolutely not. I think that is a rule or a law or whatever it is in many places. I think that should be
Not in New
everywhere.
York. Not in New York, though.
Really? Well, there's a lot of corruption out there, so I guess that really doesn't surprise me. It's kind of like the same thing with, how we have people that sit on the board of pharmaceutical companies, but also sit on the board of the approving body of, that are rubber stamping. That they thank you to RFK Jr., who got rid of that whole ASIP committee because they were so corrupt, and even just the perception of that level of corruption, it needed to be obliterated. So that was one of the really bold moves that I really, really applaud him for. And I'm so grateful that he did that.
Yeah, I mean, see, a lot of people don't understand that Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he really cares
Yeah.
about children and he really cares about health. The people that's unified against him, right? They try to paint him as crazy, delusional. He doesn't know what he's talking about. When did y'all start thinking that? Why wasn't y'all calling him any of those things when he was cleaning up the Hudson River?
Exactly.
Why wasn't y'all calling him any of these things when he was fighting Monsanto's and all these big companies? He only became crazy to people when he became a threat against the people who was unified against us in the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah, he's very courageous. I've had the opportunity to meet him a couple of times. He's just always been very gracious, and I'm a big fan of the work that he does, and I'm so grateful for the work that he does. Do I agree with him on every single issue? No, I don't agree with anybody on every single issue, but I have a lot of respect for him and all that he has done and continues to do for the health of this country and the children in this country. We're running kind of short on time, but I really want to get this question in before we end. Tramell, you are a really amazing and powerful voice in this fight in this world, and I would really be interested to know who are some voices that have inspired you, past and present.
Oh, that's a good question. Malcolm X.
Mhm.
And I liked him because he was always in the face of people for the fight. So I definitely, listen to a lot of his stuff. Martin Luther King,
Yeah.
of course, present. Not too many people really presently that I agree with. But like I said, I could listen to anyone. Like I could listen to Trump, and Trump would say some things that'll motivate me. I
Mhm.
listen to Cuomo or whoever it may be. Like I don't disagree with or I don't disagree with anyone really 100% from what I heard. Some people, of course, but uh I just listen to everybody. I mean, your fight, the fight that you getting out doing out here motivates me. So you don't have to be someone who is famous or popular. You could see me in the street and give me a conversation and it will motivate me. Like, oh, you know what? I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Or what, you know what? You're right. So, I'm in the trenches. I've been in what they call it, the Ivy Tower. I've been there. And I think that's what makes me unique is that I'm able to be in these different environments and rub shoulders with different people and get all these different perspectives that can motivate me and encourage me to do better, even if it's bad. Like if I hear something bad that Trump may say off the wall, I'll be like, all right, I got to do something to fight against that or to counter that. What can I do to do that? Even though it may not reach him, but I always think along those levels to be like, you know what, I accept everything. I listen to everything. I read everything. And I decipher it from there to determine what I want to do. But yeah, mostly Malcolm X. He was like from the earlier times. That was like I love the way that he do things. I love his fearlessness. I like what he stood for. And that was in the beginning time. But now it's like everybody. I listen to anything, and if it motivates me, it motivates me. If it don't, then I just keep it pushing. But one thing I don't do too much listening of the news.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, same. I don't listen to the news like at all. I don't like, the less programming, the better. And we know that that's basically all that is, classic conditioning and programming. But I figured you would probably say Malcolm X and the like, because I'll tell you, Tramell, to me, you remind me of a modern day Malcolm X, who I've always really admired him and his work. And that's what I think about when I see you out here and the work that you're doing and just the powerful voice that you have. I'm so grateful for you and the work that you do. And I will say, I think this has been one of the most powerful conversations that we've had. I think this definitely blows our last interview out of the water. I think we've gone even deeper this time around, and I just appreciate your boldness and your authenticity.
No problem. And you got carte blanche to have me back on your show whenever you want. I enjoy coming onto your program.
Oh, I'd love to have you back again. I'm sure we will not run out of topics to talk about. That's for sure. And I will look forward to seeing you up in New York here soon.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted on these dates that they have going on.
Please do. Thank you again, Tramell. I appreciate you.
No doubt. Have a good day.
You as well.
Yeah.
And that is all the time that we have for today, friends. But remember, we are here on the air 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern with a different nurse host daily. You can also catch the encore at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please be sure to tune in and listen to myself and these courageous nurses. As we walk you through all of these hot topics, we will empower you with information and education. We will advocate and we will stand in the gap for you because we are nurses and this is what we do. I'm your host, Nurse Kimberly Overton. You can find me here every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. Until next time, be safe, be well, and God bless. Remember, we are in a war for truth. We are putting out a bounty on the real misinformation and exposing the purveyors of propaganda. No topic is off limits as we shine our lights and expose the darkness.
It's time